Hello, youth ministry families, friends, fans. We have fans. It's crazy. We have fans. Hello, fans. Hello, Madeline Kaiser. Look what I have hanging behind me. Thank you very much. So today we are going to talk about Saint Joan of Arc, whose feast day is, I don't have my calendar up anymore. It's the end of the month. Feast day, I think, is the 30th. And even though Saint Joan of Arc is not necessarily one of the bigwig saints in the church, we decided when Sarah and I looked at the calendar and Abby helped us out, we had to do Joan of Arc because after all, a little bit of girl power is not a bad thing. We should really, at some point, I would love to just do a truth bombs about Esther because she's my woman from the Bible and I do love Esther. So this is probably the closest to Esther we can get is Joan of Arc when it comes to a saint. So I'm a little excited about this episode. So today we have, we lost Erica just for a second, but she came back. Whoop. Like a fantastic little thing. Tonight we have Abby Albrinck, youth ministry, volunteer, young adult, was a Totus missionary and is not this summer here, but she's employed, so we're okay now. So Abby's with us tonight. We also have Miss Erica Rawlings, a fan of Truth Bombs with the Saints and is very excited to be here. She is one of the original youth ministry kids from the youth ministry days at St. John Newman when I asked her the first time I met her, so is someone picking you up, honey? And she said, I'm driving myself home. She's just short. I thought she was much younger than she was. So I'm glad Erica's here. We have Sarah Meeker, youth ministry volunteer extraordinaire at St. John Newman, whose hair is still long one of these days, right, Sarah?
Someday I'll get a haircut again.
One of these days. And we also have with us Miss Andrea Patch, who works down at the Archdiocese. And I've known Andrea for a long time now because we worked together as youth ministry when we were a youth ministry extraordinaires together. So Andrea, what is your official title downtown?
It changes every day.
That's why I'm not guessing.
Right, exactly. I am the managing director of Catechesis.
Ooh,
yes.
Managing director of Catechesis. And she has been Abby's boss for Totus, but not this year. Again, a little bit of a tear. So
2 summers in a row. Yeah. And then Abby got to spend my winter vacation nannying for my kids. So I was her boss in 2 different worlds.
Yeah. I know, but Claire and Kate, they're our favorite to have around. We do love Claire and Kate because they're precious. Because the hymnal at church must be turned the right way, even though they can't read. So, you know, it was a fun experience having them at church. So Andrea's pregnant with baby number 4. It's going to be a boy. Do we have a nickname? Matthew was Polycarp. So do we have a good nickname for this one?
Well, this one has been dubbed Benignus. Benignus, but it hasn't quite caught as much steam with COVID because no one has been able to hear about it.
Right, you're not really around other people. Benignus.
Exactly. But Benignus has been the name.
Okay. And that's a saint, Benignus?
Yes, apparently Irish, an Irish martyr. Yep. Going with Benignus.
That's
now my kids are not really named these names. This is just a friend and Father Kyle who have come up with these fun saint names to call my child in the womb. And sometimes afterwards, I did have a bit of fear that the priest was going to change Matthew's name to Polycarp during the baptism because there were so many jokes about it prior to this. And actually in the baptism rite, if the priest feels the given name of the parents is offensive to the Christian faith, they can offer a new Christian name.
Yeah, but it was Matthew. That's not offensive to the Christian.
We were pretty safe.
Yeah, you were safe. Woo!
But
Ooh,
yes.
That's important. But
watching my parents' face, though, like not having the relationship that I have with Father Kyle and the priest doing the baptism, they're like, it's not Polycarp, and it will not be Polycarp.
And I believe on Facebook at some point I made some joke about Polycarp, and it was either your mom or dad who replied back and said that child's name will not be Polycarp. I'm like, oh, it's a joke. Sorry. So, see, when you know, ladies and gentlemen, when you know a lot about the saints, you can have a really good time with the saints. Like Benignus, baby Benignus, and baby
Double
Polycarp.
B.
There you go, double B. Okay, Abigail, we are going to talk a little bit about Joan of Arc and what are your favorite things about Joan of Arc? And we will start with you, Miss Abby.
One of my favorite saints is Saint Therese, and she was really inspired by Saint Joan of Arc. So I just think it's cool to see the influence that like Saint Joan of Arc has had on like another saint, and then how Saint Therese then influences people. So.
Oh, so you mean we should pay attention to the saints? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, saintly people. If we want to be a saint, we should pay attention to the saints. Who knew? Fascinating. Was there anything specific about that, or did she just like the girl power stuff?
I think it's just because they were both from France.
Oh, yeah, that probably would have done it for me too. Yes. Okay, awesome. Miss Erica, what do you got? What's your favorite thing about Saint Joan of Arc?
So I think that her death is a really unique story, and that like the whole witches thing is kind of weird and cool and intriguing, but also I'm very, very fascinated by the fact that she had such a strong faith at such a young age and felt like she was really called to do things from like the age of 13, which I think is like epic.
Yes, she heard saint voices. I mean, that's crazy.
Crazy cool. Crazy cool.
Crazy cool. It was Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. I think it was Catherine. I forget which Catherine it was. I know it's Margaret of Antioch, and it's one of the many Catherines. I don't know if it was Sienna or who it was. I'm sure I could find it in this stuff. But yeah, 3 saints. She heard their voices. Phenomenal. So pretty stinking cool. Miss Sarah, what do you got?
So she was tried for heresy, and when she was being tried for heresy, this is one of my favorite like responses of all time. She was asked if she knew whether she was in God's grace, because they were trying to trip her up, because if she says yes, that's heretical, because you can't know what God's will is. So her response was, if I am not, may God put me there, and if I am, may God keep me so. I should be the saddest creature in the world if I knew I were not in his grace. And I just think that's so cool, because it was like outsmarted what they were thinking. They were thinking, if she says yes, we can call her a heretic. And if she says no, then she's guilty of what we're accusing her of anyways, because she's not in God's grace. And I mean, she was very young. So to outsmart them at that point with that answer obviously was divine intervention. There was some Holy Spirit going on there. And I just think that's cool that he was speaking to her in such a profound way that she was able to answer that way. So
I mean, she lived in the 15th century, and most likely she was illiterate. She was a peasant. So the idea that she could outsmart them, oh yeah, man, she had Holy Spirit moving in her life in a big, big way, because there was no way. It's kind of like, reminds me of Bernadette with Lourdes, how she could not have spoken to them about Mary in the way that she did. She did not have enough education for that. And here she is saying words and phrases that they knew. Oh, you're seeing Mary. You're witnessing something bigger than what we originally thought. So yeah, very amazing stuff. Andrea, what do you got?
So I was just like reading a book about her recently, because I have spare time on my hands right now.
A whole book. She did a whole book, guys.
There's a whole book. I've got a book on her. But one of the lines in it, it was like the last line that she said before she died. And so she was burnt to ashes. And this seemed really offensive to her, because she was so proud of her body. And she took like such good care of her body and like remained a virgin throughout her life. And so for her being burnt to death and not having her body remain intact was like a huge tragedy. And so she said, I would rather be beheaded 7 times than suffering burning. And I just found that interesting. Like, how do you get beheaded 7 times? But like the fact that she didn't want her body to be defiled, like she was promised to be married to a man And that was the first trial she ever had at like the age of 13 or 14. Her dad had promised her to marry this man and she refused. So she had to go to trial in order to be like released from that obligation. Yeah.
Crazy. And I read, and I read somewhere that they actually kept re-burning her body because they were so afraid there would be relics. They wanted to make sure that everyone knew she was really, really dead. Okay, which remind me, a la Jesus, you know, the whole tomb and stuff. They really wanted to make sure she was dead so none of them could say she lived through it. And then the whole idea, they wanted nothing left of her, just ashes, because they did not want any relics of her. So there are no relics. If someone offers you one, just know that you know,
They're not legit.
They don't, that's not a thing. And I think that's so fascinating. I love that you had that quote because I did not read that in any of it. So see, you have to read the whole book to get some of the good nuggets, right?
It was at the very end.
Wow, at the very end. Okay, so you have to read the whole book, ladies and gentlemen. I read something about, you know, so many people kind of, and really almost every icon I've ever seen of Joan of Arc, she's always got the shorter hair, sometimes a little bit longer. She's in the armor and she looks like she's ready to go off to war. And one of the records that I read talked a little bit about how she wasn't just a person of military exploits, which she refused to kill anyone. She would always just carry her banner around with Jesus and Mary symbols on it. But she had a great love for the sacraments, and she also was very compassionate towards the poor. So she wasn't just limited to, you know, battlefield stuff. And it says that there was a great devotion to her among French soldiers during World War I. And one of the theologians of the time said that her life offers a perfect example of the conjunction of contemplation and action. That she was not just one to pray and think about her faith, that she actually moved and worked. If God called her to move, she surely moved. And I thought that was a pretty amazing thing. She liked the numbers, 7 times beheaded. She said she preferred her banner 40 times better than a sword. So she liked these exaggerations. I don't know if any of you know this. She tried to escape when she was in jail before she was burned at the stake. She even jumped 70 foot from a 70-foot high tower and survived. And they would catch her and put her back in jail. And she would wear men's clothing especially while she was jailed. And one of the reasons was, well, it was easier to travel as a military person if you're in men's clothes. It's easier to ride a horse and do all those things. But she also used it to tie the clothing together so she could not be raped when she was in jail, because a dress provided too easy. And so she would prefer to have the men's clothes so she could tie it around her to remain a virgin and to not suffer a rape, which is amazing because then they accused her of cross-dressing. So yeah, which was one of the things that they tried her for. But she was exonerated. You know, her mom fought and fought for a retrial, and several years later, it could have been upwards of 30 years later, they exonerated her and said that she was innocent, which is a good thing, I think. But yeah, so I found a few other things I did not realize so much about. I didn't even realize they knew so much about Joan of Arc. I was kind of thinking, you know, it's all legend, but this stuff, man, there's a lot of stuff out there. Yeah, there's always some legends about some saints, but this stuff's good historical stuff. Okay, Abby, are you ready? I should ask you, are you awake? We're almost to your bedtime, so. She loves her sleep. So, if St. Joan of Arc could travel, where would she go? When would she go, I guess I could say.
Probably somewhere with like a lot of land, like somewhere out in the country, because wasn't she like a farm girl type? Yeah.
I think I said time travel. Did I say some other kind of travel?
Oh, time travel?
Time travel. She could time travel. So could she go? She could go back or she could go forwards.
She'd probably want to go backwards because I don't think she'd like all the technology.
Oh, that's true. How far back would she go? Are you talking Jesus or?
Go with Jesus.
You think with Jesus? She'd be following around as with the 12 disciples. I could see her doing it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think she might be one of those who would go back in time, not forward in time. So, yeah. Yeah, I think she might be a little disappointed at how, I think she'd be impressed with how far women have come, and yet at the same time, how not so far women have come. But that's a whole nother discussion for another day.
I think she'd be scandalized by what women wear.
Mhm.
Oh,
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, again, she'd be impressed that women were doctors and women were teachers and all these things that were not afforded to her, not allowed in her era. But then, yes, the clothing and yeah, she would not like. And I'm appalled by the pornographic nature of our society in general.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not be happy with. Okay. On to happier things, maybe. Miss Erica. Erica, do you know anything about Harry Potter? Do you want to try a Harry Potter question and see? No, you don't. We'll save it for Sarah. Sarah likes Harry Potter. That's why I asked you first. Okay. If Joan of Arc had lived to be a ripe old age of 46, my age, which would have probably been old back then, what advice would she have given youngsters?
That's a really great question. And I was hoping that I would get one of the questions that I've heard, over and over and over again, watching the videos. But she'd probably say something along the lines of, stay close to Jesus, stay holy. Jesus loves you always, no matter what. That's something that always gets me. So, and I feel it's important for young women to know.
Yes, very much so, especially those young women. Even if you think Jesus is calling you to something crazy, maybe you should listen. You just never know. Okay, very, very good. I like the answer. Okay, Sarah, now you get Harry Potter. Here comes Harry Potter.
Okay.
Who would she have been in Harry Potter?
I mean, the obvious answer is Hermione.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hermione.
Think about it. Hermione fought a war. She was smart. She was, So
she was young.
She was young. She was,
Yeah, because she really couldn't be Mrs. Weasley because she wasn't that old.
Although, Mrs. Weasley is involved in my favorite scene. Probably shouldn't quote it here because I don't know what age group will be watching it. But not my daughter, you. Yeah, it's my favorite scene in that movie.
Yeah. She stayed true to herself. I mean,
Very much so. But yeah, Hermione.
Luna Lovegood, because everyone thought Joan of Arc was crazy.
Well, that's true. You could go
that. Also, super smart.
You could go
Yeah, the Luna Lovegood. Yeah, that too. I think they could both work. But I could just see they could use, what's her name who plays Hermione? What's her name? Emma somebody?
Emily Watson.
Emma Watson. That they would use her face and an icon of Joan of Arc and totally good. Andrea's laughing at me. Andrea, one of these days,
I am really happy I didn't get a Harry Potter question. Matthew is crying in the background, and that's what I'm doing on the inside right now. I feel like you guys just drifted off to a world I know nothing about.
Get to the gates of heaven, and St. Peter's going to go, oh, you're that lady who did truth bombs. You're not coming in. That's exactly what's going to happen to me. Okay, Andrea, here's your question. What did St. Joan of Arc secretly collect?
Men's clothing.
Men's
clothing. She was really, even as a peasant girl, she was actually really into fancy, expensive cloaks. And so, yeah, she secretly, not really so secretly because she wore a lot of them, but that's actually why she got caught.
Yes.
Like, because she got like pulled off of her horse because they reached her through her fancy cloak. If she wasn't wearing that dang velvet cloak, she could be free. But
if I understand correctly, and Andrea, you read,
she might not have been burned.
Yeah, she might not have been burned.
I know.
Andrea, you read the entire book, so maybe, but one of the paragraphs I read about her said, really, those who traveled with her as part of the military were okay with her wearing men's clothes because it just made things so much easier. But it got her in. It got her in a lot of trouble, obviously. So lots of fancy cloaks, huh?
As many as she could carry.
Put on the back of that horse. Here we go. What's in that cart, Joan? Nothing. Nothing's in the cart. Nothing. Just, But she'd never be cold on a cold winter's night. Let's think about that. She'd always have her clothes. Yeah. Okay. Great answer. We will move back to Miss Abby. If she had a superpower, what superpower would Joan of Arc have had?
Let's see. I think invisibility probably would have been helpful because then she wouldn't have featured.
That's true. One of her cloaks could have been the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Sneak attacks.
Yeah. Oh, sneak attacks. Yeah. Or just sneaking up and getting the last piece of whatever food was left before they all ate. Yeah. And invisibility. I do like that. That would have suited her very, very well. And her military exploits for sure. Excellent answer. We're doing great, ladies. I'm very impressed with your answers, and they all make sense, which is a big deal because sometimes people say things and I go, I have no idea where you just got that from. So Stephen Kodikis especially is one of those. You need to explain yourself because I'm not quite sure where that went. So he connects A to Z, and I'm not sure how anything happened in between. Okay, Erica. What'd you say?
I said that's every conversation I have with him.
Yes, and strange text messages you get from him too that you go, I have no idea what you're talking about, and then you have to figure it out. You have to connect all those dots. Okay, Erica, this is a question you've heard a lot. I promise you. So this question is, if Saint Joan of Arc was a dessert, what dessert would she be? You've heard this one a lot, haven't you?
And you especially like to ask Padre this question, or Steve.
It's always a good one because he goes into lots of detail about
True.
this.
For some reason, I'm thinking about
short conversations.
I think just something like basic, like a cupcake.
Oh, a cupcake. She's just a basic girl. She's a no frills girl, right?
Like, I mean, solid tasting, and like satisfies your desire for something sweet, but not like overly zealous. Maybe.
I like that. Yeah. The only thing she's overzealous for is for God. So there you go.
You know how like in beauty pageants you could ask these like random questions? So I was watching like a local one, and the question was, if you could be any kind of dessert, what kind of dessert would you be and why? This poor girl answered, and she goes, pause for a very, very, very long, awkward time. And she goes, I would be a chocolate chip cookie because I'm just kind of plain. And that was it. Like, there was nothing else. The host is like standing at the microphone like, let's hear it for Abby. Yeah.
But it's a beauty pageant. Because I'm just wow. If she was really that plain, wouldn't if she had been a sugar cookie? Not even a chocolate chipper. But yeah, that's kind of sad.
I know.
Oh, we're better than chocolate chip cookies, ladies. We're better. Even though a good chocolate chip
Joan of
cookie
Arc is
right
at
out
least
of
a
the oven-
cupcake.
At least a cupcake. But even though a chocolate chip cookie out of the oven is spectacular.
That's true.
And I could see Erica, the chocolate, if it was a cupcake, her having just a little bit of Nutella or something in the middle, just as that little surprise, you know. Because I do like a cupcake with Nutella in the middle. It's just, a little surprise is always a good thing. Okay, now I'm really hungry, and I've already had dessert.
Always
so
do this to yourself.
I know I can't really. Erica, I really want a cupcake, so thank you very much.
I haven't had dinner yet, if it's any consolation.
Oh, so 100,000 points to you because you're starving. There you go. Okay, Sarah. St. Joan of Arc could have any sidekick from any time, fictional or real. Who would her sidekick be?
I love this question.
Saint Michael the Archangel?
St. Michael the Archangel. I actually like that. They could both be wearing their armor.
Right.
But St. Michael's got the sword.
Defend us in battle? Like.
That's so funny because I would not have gone there, but it's the perfect answer. Michael the Archangel. Now, when we pray the St. Michael prayer every day, we have rosary with mom and dad. They're in quarantine. They're on day, I don't know, 73 or whatever. Pray the rosary every day at 4 o'clock. Andrea, if we don't log on at 4 o'clock, we're dead. You know, it's one of those. So when we pray the St. Michael prayer, my sister gets really dramatic at the very end. Prowls about the world. What's the last line? Seeking the ruin of souls. Yes, amen. And she does that. She goes, come on, it's St. Michael. You got to be, you know. She's also a second grade teacher.
And she's playing the rosary with second graders, yeah.
Yeah, so she's always a little dramatic. She said she doesn't, if she does lead the rosary, but she's always afraid she's going to start rapping it because she does that kind of with the second graders. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Because, you know, second graders rosary, but she does refrain. It's good. So, St. Michael and St. Joan, they really need to make it. I know, they really need to make an icon with the two of them. It would be pretty epic. Well, and St. Michael spoke to her. He already was her sidekick. So there we go.
He was already a voice in the head.
Right?
Voice in the head.
He was there.
There the whole time. Fantabulous. Okay, Andrea. You know, when it comes to St. Joan, we don't know a lot about what she ate. It doesn't say she cooked over the campfire for the military boys, for the little soldiers. We don't know anything about that. But just think, if she had a restaurant, what would she have called her restaurant?
Well, I don't know French, so that's difficult.
Oui, oui.
Woohoo! La Chateau.
I know one thing in French. Do you know what it is?
What?
Fermez la bouche, which means shut your mouth.
Nice. Yeah. I've got nothing for a name of a restaurant. La Chateau. We're going to go with that.
She was French. La Chateau.
I mean, it's simple, so that would be her.
It's the restaurant. Absolutely.
Yeah, she just served like just basic potatoes, little meat.
I think she probably had a lot of wine. France is known for their wine.
That's true.
A lot of wine. That is true. A lot of wine.
I mean, she died at 19, but they didn't really have a drinking age back then, so.
Do they still? You can go to Europe and they're all drinking at young ages. That's, you know. Yeah. So she would have imbibed, especially if she was on the trail with soldiers, you know. They were enjoying themselves. So.
Who lets a child lead a war? It's just crazy to me.
It is crazy. It's crazy to even think, and I know people say it was a different time, but still, it may have been a different time, but she was not that old and not that mature. And I mean, I know we have people who seem to be a little bit more old souls and mature than others, but still 13, 14 years old. Jeez.
But the saints were telling her what to do.
Yeah.
She had St. Michael as her sidekick after all.
St. Michael was her sidekick. Now,
Defend us in battle. She was protected.
Man, she was protected. Well, and I know in part of her story, it even says that they kind of tested her because she said they were going to, win this battle. And they're like, we're not going to win this battle, but we'll keep her around and see what happens. And guess what happened? They won the battle. So, yeah.
and they were like, maybe there is something to this.
Maybe we should keep her around more often. We like this lady. Okay, Abigail, here you go. If she won the lottery, what would Joan have run out and bought first? And you may not say more men's clothes because that's cheating.
Yeah, that was gonna be my answer. Probably better armor for like the sword, or like a fancier banner to carry in battle.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. And it was probably tattered after some time. So, she would go out and buy the fanciest, most special banner of all. For
Well, and she wore white
Made out
armor.
of men's clothing.
Yeah.
Made out of men's clothing.
Yes.
So now we can have men's clothing as part of the answer. See, Andrea, I see what you did there. It's not very good. Sometimes we get stuck on the same answers.
For each video, there's always one for each video.
Mm-hmm. We end up cycling it around and around and around. So men's clothes, that'll be it for Joan of Arc. Not a surprise. But okay, so Erica, you are banned from one particular answer for this question. This question says, if she could have any animal as a pet, what would it be? She may not have a horse. Just assume she already had a horse. What other animal would she want for a pet?
I probably wouldn't even have thought of horse, if we're being quite honest. Something small, like that she could keep in her pocket, maybe like a gecko, so that like it could just hang out and hide with her for a little while.
Down in the pockets of the cloak?
Could find it. Yeah, like nobody could find it, so like she couldn't get in trouble for it.
And it blends in like her invisibility power,
Now,
camouflage.
Thank you for supporting my answers.
Is it a gecko entangled? What is it entangled that she has? Is it a gecko?
I don't know.
Chameleon?
I think it is a gecko.
Chameleon?
Or is it a chameleon?
There we go.
The second you said it, Erica, I imagined it as a Disney version in her cloak with the big cute eyes and
I like
not
it.
like a real gecko, but a Disney gecko, because I mean, it's Joan of Arc. She'd want something.
She was pretty epic, so yeah, like she could get whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
Pascal is a chameleon.
Pascal the chameleon was his name. Yes. So, but kind of like a gecko. I still imagine Disney-esque gecko. So
yeah.
But I approve. I do approve, Erica, because I really think that makes sense. It can't be anything she have to drag around anywhere. She have to be able to feed it.
Not too flashy.
Not too flashy. Something she could hide. And they're sitting around the fire one night, and she goes, "Hey guys, look what I got." Now, out comes the little gecko, Disney-esque gecko, in my opinion. I like it a lot. I like that, Erica. Okay, I'm never gonna, next time, if I ever paint an icon of St. Joan of Arc, which I will never do because I don't really have that talent, I'm putting a little chameleon on her, little gecko on her shoulder. It'll be so cute. And everyone will wonder why. And it's all because of Erica. So, okay, Sarah, pretend she has a car or a truck. Joan of Arc would totally drive a truck. I don't think she'd drive a car. But if she had a license plate, what would the license plate say if she had a little bit of a vanity plate going on?
Ooh. What would Joan of Arc's vanity plate be? For God.
For God. Or it could be the number 4. For God.
Right. I mean, however you have to make that work, because sometimes one's taken, so you have to not spell it out or whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. It would be for God with the 0 in the middle of God.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, and then she could hang it off her little banner, and she get them all covered.
I mean, because really what I was thinking is for the glory of God, but yeah, that's a little long for a license plate.
Yeah, that's a little long for license plate. For the glory of God, is that a St. Ignatius thing? I think it's a St.
might
Ignatius
be.
thing too. Yeah, for the greater glory of God. Abby knows, she went to St. Ives. So yeah, I like that. They're good. I like that. What state plate would she have? I was wondering what state she would identify.
Louisiana?
Louisiana, because of New Orleans.
New Orleans?
And that's the battle. She thought, okay. She didn't fight.
Exactly.
She just carried her. You know, she never fought, but she was shot with an arrow multiple times and survived and lived to tell the tale. So God had big plans. She lived to tell the tale just to be burned at the stake.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she is a martyr, so glory to God. Okay, Andrea, this one is just for you, dear, because you have the chillins, the little chillins. Which Disney character is she the most like? Of all Disney characters.
Okay, so I've got three. I've got three that are going through my mind. But
3? It's a bonus.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of one's name, so that'll be the last one that comes to me.
Okay.
So Mulan is like all
Mulan.
about the battle.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Joan of Arc was more of a peacemaker than that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm going Pocahontas.
Oh, Pocahontas.
As my top choice.
Oh, Colors of the Wind.
Traveling, leading, keeping the people at peace.
Mm-hmm. Trying not to get them to go to war, right?
Ultimately, but doing it in the most peaceful way possible.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Who was
and
number 3?
Is the other one like, isn't it Moana? Like a big warrior one too?
She kind of is, yeah. And she's really into keeping her people
like
together.
The long curly red hair and like was way too
Merida.
That's Merida. That's what I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Merida. I always pronounce her name wrong when I read my girls their princess book because I've never seen the movie. But I think she's a little too feminine in her characteristics for Joan of Arc, so I'm sticking with Pocahontas.
Yeah, and she shot the arrows, so it kind of works with the whole Joan of Arc being shot by the arrows and stuff. Yeah. And and Mulan's one of my favorites. And that kind of attaches to the whole wearing the boys' clothes, but she actually disguised herself. So Joan didn't quite do that. She was just, more into the comfort and stuff. Anyone else have a great Disney character she reminds you of? Besides Mulan and Pocahontas? Yeah, nothing. I mean, she's not whiny like Little Mermaid. Yeah. There's really not many others left. A lot of the other girls are kind of whiny, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Yes, those Disney princesses. Okay, so I'm going to ask 2 more questions and you all have an opportunity to answer because we're running low on our time. So here we go. So if you don't have an answer, you don't have to answer it, okay? If she ran for a government office, what would her slogan be? And come on, if she had lived, she would have totally wanted to be in government work. Maybe not our government, but some government.
Something along the lines of one of her quotes, like, I am not afraid, God's got this.
Ooh, vote for Joan. Not afraid,
like
God's got this.
Endorsed by St. Michael the Archangel.
She became the governor. That would be part of her little symbol, on the, I don't know, do they do a governor symbol? Or I'm thinking more of a bishop's thing. She wouldn't have been a bishop, but, the governor, I don't know. Don't they have a presidential seal or something? She could have put St. Michael as part of it, That would have been cool. Yeah. Okay, I like that because I love that quote.
Hashtag courage.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
I think her slogan's going to be hashtag courage.
Hashtag courage. Yeah, hashtag courage. Yes. Look, we could have been her campaign managers, people, but fantastic. She totally would have run. Okay, anyone else got anything? That was pretty
Or-
good. Ida.
Something about like, I'll take the flames for you or something like that.
Oh, Abby!
Nice.
100,000 points.
Oh, Abby. That's this old Abby. That was fantastic. Okay, 100,000 points for you because that was just epic. You know, I'll take the flames for you. And Andrea, you get 300,000 points because you gave 3 answers for 1 question. 3 Disney people for 1 question. So there you go. Okay.
Okay,
So this one's
back to the theme real quick though. There's a World War I song about her called Joan of Arc, They Are Calling You. I think that would be a pretty good campaign slogan too.
they could play it in the background on the commercials.
Yeah.
Now I feel like
How about-
totally finding a video of it.
How about, do you hear voices? I do.
Do you see dead people?
Just
I
claim
do.
the crazy outright so that they know no one can like burn her for it later.
There's nothing hidden. She's just going to come right out and say,
Oh.
I like men's clothes. I know how to wear it. And I hear dead people. And I see dead people too. I'm sure she saw them too. I'd be surprised if she didn't have a little glimpse of them as well. So, yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay, I really want to listen to the St. Joan of Arc song now.
I know, right?
I know. It's probably in French, so I'd probably be a little disappointed because I wouldn't understand it unless they said shut your mouth. So I don't think that would be a good thing.
No, it's in English.
Oh, it is. Huh. We're gonna have to figure that out. Maybe I'll do that as a lead in the beginning or at the end of the video. I could find it. Probably not copyrighted anymore. It's old enough. Okay, here's your last question, ladies. Anyone can answer. Who would be St. Joan of Arc's secret crush?
St. Michael.
I know, right?
Jesus.
The answer that came back.
Jesus. She loves her Jesus. I don't know. I mean, being a true girl and being a young girl, she had to have a crush on some soldier at some point. I mean, she's
I
just
feel
that
like
age.
she probably had a crush on like the prince that she was like trying to get crowned king, like rightfully. Like,
Oh, it was one of the
Probably had a
Charles,
crush.
I think. Yeah. 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 That would
Good
be
answer.
possible too. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, Sarah? Sarah, you look deep in thought.
I'm scrolling through and seeing if there's any other men mentioned in her, but the Charles would be a good one.
Charles would be a good one. Yeah. Yeah, Charles would definitely be a good one. I think there is a Joan of Arc movie, but who would you have play her in a movie?
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. Emma Watson is Hermione Granger, Belle, and Joan of Arc. Well, no, yeah, Hermione Granger. Yeah, that would work. Yeah, but now she plays the best role of her career, Joan of Arc. So, okay, ladies, this has been fun. It always is fun to do truth bombs. I was requested to continue through at least August 1st. At least August.
Yes.
Because, and I have made up a schedule, and here's why. Bradley Barnes loves Philip Neri, who we just had the other day, and he loves Philip Neri. But really, his real #1 favorite saint, as he refers to him, is the Fonz, which is Alphonsus Liguori, and that's August 1st. So we have, oh look, Abby is like, Alphonsus Liguori! And it only seems appropriate that we end with Alphonsus Liguori. And Sarah, do you know why? What does it have to do with John Newman? Do you know why?
Mm-mm.
Abby's going to take a guess. Abby, why is that appropriate? Because we're John Newman.
He founded the Redemptorists, and John Newman was a Redemptorist.
John Newman was a Redemptorist, and Alphonsus Liguori was one of his favorite saints. Well, 1 or 2 of his prayers actually list Alphonsus Liguori in it because he had such a fondness for Alphonsus Liguori. So we will end with the Fonz. So hopefully, maybe life will be a little bit back to normal by August, but for some reason I feel like, I think we're gonna be a little bit further off, but fingers crossed, right? Okay, well, thanks so much. Guys, we miss you. Hopefully you get to come and see some of us at Mass. If not, know that we are always praying for you. Remember, it is your parents' choice whether or not you come to Mass. No, you may not sneak to Mass. You have to ask parents' permission first. I know some of you might not be in a household that should be out and about yet. So you listen to your moms and your dads, right? Everyone shake your heads yes. Listen to moms and dads. But until then, until we see you, we love you all. We're praying for you. Bye now. You guys can wave bye to the kids. Goodbye now. Goodbye. 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 It's like Toy Story. Goodbye. Goodbye.